the first time it was shown, at the end we did a Q&A. The immediate reaction, there was a gentleman there that said, because of what I just saw, I want to become a better husband to my wife.
Has making a sports documentary always been a dream of yours?
No, not at all. I'm not a sports guy. I was terrible at sports as a kid. I grew up in this small town in western Pennsylvania called Indiana, Pennsylvania, where everybody played sports. And I was real bad at sports, so that's why I got into film. Baseball was a big part of my family. My grandfather was a big baseball head, and I knew just sort of vaguely of their story just growing up, so close to Pittsburgh. I came to this project more super inspired by their dad and just the life he lived, and just these small acts of kindness were what really drew me to making a sports doc.
The documentary discusses Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier, but Roberto Clemente was kind of in the middle as a Latino black athlete at that time. Can you speak about Roberto breaking the barrier for Latino players?
Dad was not the first player. I believe that he was the first player that got to that level, be able to play and become a superstar and have a platform. And thank God that he was the right person to have that platform, to be able to do what he wanted to do with it and do good with it. He took it to do good. That's why we're talking about him 51 years later, because of who he was as a human being. He was a human being before a baseball player. So I believe that that is the impact that we're talking about still today.
Yeah, he saw that opportunity. Basically, since he started and he got to the majors, he knew he was going to become a voice for those who didn't have it. And he was an activist. He really made sure that he would not follow, what was a status quo at the time. And he did a lot of things. And I always say the fans are fans for the little they know. So this documentary is going to help, put more light to who Roberto Clemente is.
As we interviewed people like Francisco Lindor and the Molina brothers, like they 100%, view your dad as their Jackie Robinson, the one who came in and kicked down the doors for Puerto Ricans and Latino players, and it's been so cool to see.
The best thing about the documentary as well is that David was able to really shine light, because Dad says that in his own voice. So you can actually say, this is what I am here to do. And that's very impactful.
One thing that was not striking, but I was very interested in today's world, we have so much access to athletes, right? Making a documentary about Tom Brady is very much different than making a documentary about Roberto Clemente back in the 60s when, there wasn't the footage that we have available to us today. So David, was it a challenge for you making this documentary and having enough access to game footage and interview footage from Roberto himself?
It was a challenge. We were incredibly lucky. There's Dwayne Reeder is one of the executive producers on the film, and he has built this huge collection of just stunning photographs, and he has a museum in Pittsburgh. So we had a really good jumping off point with with Dwayne and the Clemente Museum, and obviously they've worked with Dwayne for decades to help build that. But it was a real challenge. I mean, I knew there was a journalist who followed Roberto for years, and I knew there was a box of tapes somewhere in Puerto Rico. So we spent about like a year just trying to track down those tapes, and then we knew there was some missing home movie footage. So we spent another year trying to track down this missing home movie footage, and we found it. And I mean, that was part of the challenge, and the fun was just sort of like playing detective a little bit, sort of calling people and getting a lead, like, hey, I think this guy might have it in a storage unit. Just the archival stuff was a real challenge. But MLB's been awesome. They really helped us a lot. And the Pirates have been awesome, and of course the Clemente Museum has been incredible.
Definitely. Roberto and Luis, is this something that you had always wanted to do, was make a documentary about your dad, and where did this idea really come from?
Well, I feel having the opportunity to spend like the most time with mom, and she would, share the stories and a lot of different things that people don't even know about. A lot of the times when you receive a script or somehow there's another project that they want to present, they want to keep the rights, of the final cuts and everything. And we're saying, if you don't listen to the story, if you're gonna leave out, you're gonna just substitute the real stories that seem to be fictional, that are amazing. You're gonna leave those out. So to be involved, and that's why we are so thankful of David for really really staying in on top of us. Like, hey, come on, let's really give me this opportunity to do this, and finally it happened. I feel that he didn't want to do it without our involvement, and that's what he recognized it was important for this project. So we definitely appreciated that, and this is why you get the results that you're going to see.
What do you want your father's legacy to be, especially after people view this documentary? What do you want them to take away from it, over anything?
The first time it was shown, at the end we did a Q&A. The immediate reaction, there was a gentleman there that said, because of what I just saw, I want to become a better husband to my wife. So it is that call to action. It's like, activating our humanitarian side, our good side. Everyone have it within them, and not all the times, you're thinking that way. I think having Dad become, still the icon that he is, but also to inspire and to impact people to activate that humanitarian button.
No, I agree. I truly believe that, one, David had a very tough time to get this thing done because the story is so big in terms of so many layers and layers. You have to leave stuff out because you don't have enough time. So, he did a fantastic job on it, number one. And to be able to have people watch this documentary and be able to unlock the human being, that sensible part of you, to care for each other. And the time that this is coming out cannot be better, because that's what we need right now. Be able to have unity and be able to have goodwill and care about each other.
Yeah, and inspire people to be more charitable and be kind. It's such a simple thing, but those themes definitely shine through. Something that I wanted to discuss was in the documentary, you see Roberto's loneliness throughout the documentary, or at least in the 60s, when he's one of few Latin players in the game. And, conditions have improved for Latin players in baseball, right? At the end of the documentary, you see 5% of baseball players were Latin when Roberto was playing, but now 30%. But I still think that the conditions for Latin players, they still have a long ways to go, especially in the minor leagues. Is there anything that you think can be done to help these players, have a better transition to the MLB, to the U.S.?
Well, that is actually the original plan that, this whole plan from Dad, from the beginning of his concept of the sports city in Puerto Rico. So he had that in mind. He was a visionary. And, from the very beginning, he started telling the Pittsburgh Pirates, we have so much talent in the Caribbean. We need to go and get these kids, get them ready. He already knew he was doing that in the major leagues with the other players that were in the major leagues already, bringing them under his wing to tell them and teach them and advise them how to act, what to expect, what to watch for, because he knew, number one, he was representing his people, but he wanted everyone else to be able to have that pathway that they were paving for them. So, that is actually exactly what he wanted to do. A lot of teams are doing it today, which we're happy to see. But that's the mission of Sports City and what the plan is. And Luis can even go even deeper into, those pieces that are exactly that what you're talking about.
Definitely, it was so important for Dad, for every single Latino player who would have the opportunity to reach the majors, to understand this was not something individually for you to enjoy for yourself. You have an opportunity to open doors for others. Or so he would always say, your actions are going to determine that. You can close them or you can open them. And he wanted to really talk to every single Latino player and have it become like their mission. So it would continue to spread. That did a lot of things. He was the first players rep, and he co-founded Major League Baseball Players Association. So not too many people know about that. And he wasn't, once again, he was an activist. He spoke his mind, but in such a way that it was not lacking respect to anyone. Totally the opposite. He demanded to be treated equally.
Wow, that's fascinating. I had no idea about the MLB Players Association, and I did want to ask more of a baseball-related question. Roberto Clemente hit .317 for his career, which is 8th all time. Just incredible. But the doc touches on his injury issues that he dealt with, the back problems, and do you think that he would have been an even better player today with modern advances we have in health and training? And he seems like a player that would absolutely gain.
He would have thrived, no doubt, because he was ahead of. He was always looking for different modalities. He was always looking in the health and wellness side. He was actually a healer, so he was really well advanced in terms of. He would have been way deep in the technology today. The way I am, I take that from him. He takes a lot of things from him: musician, designer. I mean, all the different. So we have some of his attributes. So for me, I mean, I think that definitely,
without a doubt.
I mean, another stat that I pulled was from his age 30 season to his age 37 season. He compiled the 4th most wins above replacement in MLB history, behind only Barry Bonds, Hank Aaron, and Willie Mays. Speaking to that, I mean, after the quote-unquote prime of his career, he was at his best, which speaks to the way
he took care of himself. He was very proud. But one thing that people need to know, that if it wasn't for chiropractors around our nation, he would have never been able to play at the level that he played in. He visited chiropractors everywhere he went because that's how he was able to perform. At the time it was voodoo. You can't. So secretly he would go and go visit chiropractors to be able to get treated and learn more about that he became a chiropractor later on in his life.
Final thing, we're going to wrap up here. I just want you guys to touch on any of the upcoming, beyond this amazing documentary, any upcoming programs that you want people to know about, any other work that you're working on from a charitable perspective. It's so important to be involved in your own community. I just want you guys to have an opportunity to speak on those things.
Sure. Thanks to Mom, immediately she took on what Dad started. They always spoke and shared, what Dad would like to see happen. And not even a month after the accident, she was already working, really hard. And she taught us how to deal with the legacy. And, Dad's nickname was the Great One. So imagine, but she says to deal with the great legacy, you cannot let it get to your head. You have to be very humble. And we've been visiting many cities, taking, obviously, free of charge clinics to the kids. We always integrate the girls as well. We never leave the girls out. And it's something that, we're going to different cities. We're working on putting together a tour. We've been doing the tour elements, separately, sporadically, but now we're putting this whole tour together that we're going to be going to the major cities and also minor league cities, and wherever there's a Roberto Clemente namesake. This is our goal.
And not only clinics, but a lot of technology involved as well, and to integrate it. So we're very excited. So we're look for the Clemente Legacy Tour coming to your town soon.
Thank you guys for coming to the
Thanks
Den of Geek studio.
us.
This was truly an honor to speak with you today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.